Who do you think is more critical to their success? Is it Harden or is it Durant?
The answer is James Harden. And I want to be very clear about this. KD is the best player on the Nets. Kyrie is the most skillful player on the Nets. The most important player on the Nets is James Harden because he conducts the whole orchestra. He is the conductor. And if James Harden by himself can beat some of the best teams in the Western Conference, at least in the regular season, this dude this year is showing a level of basketball genius. You know genius when you see it, right? LeBron James, when we were kids, Stephen A., Magic and Bird, the way they see the court. But let me tell you something. Almost no one in the history of basketball, I'm trying to think of anyone, who's combined James Harden's scoring prowess, shooting ability, not just scoring the ball, but from anywhere, with his level of court vision. And on this team, leadership.
Kyrie Irving is box office. You walk through the turnstiles to watch the show he will put on. Make no mistake about it. And he's been spectacular this year. James Harden, we know how big time he is and playing the best ball of his career. And as far as I'm concerned, is a legitimate top 2 league MVP candidate. But that would not be the case if Kevin Durant were healthy and Kevin Durant were playing these last 27, 28 games. You understand? When you look at the Brooklyn Nets and what the expectations are, the expectation is the chip. The expectation is the chip. And that's only because Kevin Durant is there. If Kevin Durant wasn't there, Max, even with Harden and Kyrie playing the way that they're playing, you sit there and say they'd have a chance, but nobody will sit up there and say the expectation is for them to win the chip. KD shifts the balance of power that dramatically.
All right, we got some disagreement between the guys. What's new? Chiney, what do you think? Who is more important to the Nets? Is it KD or is it Harden?
I think Stephen A. is right on the money. Kevin Durant definitely shifts the balance of power, whether it was, him trying to find himself in OKC, shifting it to the Golden State Warriors, and then now the Brooklyn Nets. It just is so apparent. You can just follow the lines. Now, I will say this. James Harden is absolutely having an impressive season, MVP caliber. He's been durable, even though, he's out for about a 10-day stretch. And as we've seen time and time again, James wakes up and dominates games over and over the course of 48 minutes. And he wants to play every game that he can, wash, rinse, repeat, But Kevin Durant is different. He can dominate a playoff series and is more important to the Brooklyn Nets' success. There's a reason why, pretty much he's called easy money, y'all. He gets unbothered buckets. Kevin Durant is one of the purest scorers and shooters that the game has ever seen, period. He is the star that superstars defer to, whether it is Kyrie Irving now, as he acknowledged before the season started, or even Steph Curry knowing that, hey, this is a guy that I have to let lead because he will deliver us a championship back with the Warriors. And by the way, that Warriors team, he made an unbelievable Warriors team untouchable. The only thing that slowed them down really was injury. And the Brooklyn Nets have proven that they can win so far by substituting stars, which is really cool and beneficial right now coming down the stretch. But there is no substitute for Kevin Durant at 7 feet tall in isolation with unlimited range from the paint to the perimeter. KD is the absolute championship piece.
I don't think it's even close as Kevin Durant, to be completely honest with you. And that's not the slight James Harden, who has been unbelievable in the absence of Kevin Durant. And I'll never forget when the trade was made between the Nets and the Rockets, ladies, and people said, how's this going to work? Great players always have a way to figure it out. And James Harden, I was not concerned that he was not going to be able to figure that out once he got to Brooklyn. They played Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But some dudes are just different. Some basketball players, male or female, are just different. When you look at, first time I saw Lisa Leslie, I said, man, she's just different. And that's where Kevin Durant falls in.
Yes.
He is the most efficient scorer, I think, the NBA, in terms of efficient scoring, that the NBA has ever seen. He can drop 40 on you and take no more than 20 shots. A lot of other great scorers, if they have 40, they're putting up 45 shots. He doesn't have to do that. When you have a guy like that, it just makes everything better and makes everything easier. Stephen A. was right in terms of James Harden would not have these kind of numbers if Kevin Durant was not injured. And we saw he's back in action, only played 19 minutes. He was a point a minute practically in his return back to the Brooklyn Nets. When he's doing that to that effectiveness and that efficiency, he is unguardable. And plus, we've seen him do this in the playoffs. We're still waiting for James Harden to do this in the playoffs. So until that happens, it is Kevin Durant, and in my opinion, it's not even close who's more important to the Nets when comparing those two guys.
Guys, I really wanted to agree with Max. I really did. You know why? Because I feel like Stephen A. he just treats him so bad on this show. And I was like, you know what?
Ouch.
Coming into today,
It's true.
I'm going to have Max's back. You know what? I'm going to have Max's back today. No, Max.
You can't do it,
No,
huh?
sir. Cannot do it. Can't do it.
Not gonna be able to do it.
I went deep, Max. I went deep. Like, okay, coming in, I'm gonna sit. Okay, can't do it, brother. Because who is as effortless a scorer? Like, you don't have anybody as big. You don't have another 7-footer that can defend him outside in the perimeter. You don't have guards that can get to him, that can stop him when he's. Did you see that game where he came back after 23 days off? And everybody is wondering, oh, well, what's the layoff? Is there going to be any rust? Like, what's the chemistry like with these Brooklyn Nets? And Kevin Durant came in and was like, I felt like myself. He was dribbling down the court, in the paint, spotting up. You know, that's what he does. And he makes it look so effortless that sometimes, you know, he's so good that you almost think it's easy, but it's not. Like, and I hate these discussions sometimes because it feels like we're not giving James Harden his due, because what he's been able to do here, that what happened in the past, it's been erased in his short time in Brooklyn. You know, him being the great facilitator, great scorer when need be, but there is nobody like Kevin Durant. And if this team, obviously chemistry, you want to make sure that they've got it, all three guys on the court at the same time as we get closer to the playoffs. But if KD is not on the court, I don't think we're getting playoff buckets. We're getting playoff wins in the postseason. Like, we're just not.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe.